I am loving Astrologian. It might be a little bit before we get to talk about classes and particulars like that over on Grinding Gear. We got a lot of dungeons and story content to go through. So I thought I'd make a video here on my channel. This has been an absolute blast. It's so flavorful. Ishgard in general is just awesome. Enjoying it, loving it. Look forward to more videos about that. But Astrologian has been such a breath of fresh air for a healer. I played a holy priest in vanilla WoW. I quested as a holy priest. I stayed a holy priest for the dungeons in BC when they introduced changing your spec or multiple specs. They got too expensive. So I still was a holy priest through almost everything. In BFA, I went discipline. Discipline was getting a little fun and the whole shield business was enjoyable, but this has been just so fresh. It's such a loud class. I've really been enjoying it. There are other reasons too. Outside of just having some cool abilities, some really great AoE healing. I need to change my pants, by the way. Those got hideous under my outfit here. The whole theme of the tarot cards and the astrology is just awesome. Now, I will say Final Fantasy has a lot of anime influences, and I'm a huge Kaiba fan.
If there is intelligent life out there, then let's teach them how to duel.
I used to watch Yu-Gi-Oh! On the WB, so it was in English. Later on, I got the DVD set, watched it in Japanese, got to see all the removed scenes, like the wonderful Kaiba blocking a gun scene with a card. Yes, Astrologian doesn't go that far. The card theme stops a little bit for mechanics' sake, but it's really, really fun. Plus, I'm also a huge fan of FF14, one of the original animes I watched growing up. I watched this in early college. Somewhere on the internet is a picture of me cosplaying as Lord Falcon from this show. That would be circa 2007 at a Florida MegaCon. Cosplay wasn't very advanced back then, you understand. And my robot arm was made of duct tape, so we'll let that be hidden for all time if possible. So the whole theme is just instantly great for me. I'm really, really enjoying it. Now, right now, I have on what is my Kaiba best. I think I'll update it with time and available glamours. Gosh, I got to change those clown pants. They want me to dress like a clown right now. When I remove all my glamours, I look like a clown. So I think I'm doing all right here. It's just so flashy. Everything about this class, from just the buffs that you pass out, bam, just like all the 12 symbols you're working with, every heal. I have not turned down my spell effects, by the way. I think I've stood in some poop. I've gotten a little bit of trouble doing this, but it's just worth it to just see these outrageously loud abilities. Even my paladin had loud abilities, which was really fun. But I've just been immensely enjoying how graphically intense this class is. I've heard the card system's been pretty toned down over the years. It used to be a diverse buff for every single card, which sounds frankly amazing. Really frustrating, probably a huge barrier to entry. But man, that would be fun. That would be really, really cool to have. Nowadays, it's basically a split buff. Either you're going to buff your melee DPS or you're going to buff your range DPS. And there's like an option for healer and tank in there. But I've been informed I shouldn't use those things for those sort of classes, really keep them to the class. The only ones I'm really struggling with, now I know there's a whole mechanic here where you can basically see the outline color of the cards, and that's going to tell you which class it's going to go on to. So for instance here, I have this kind of sun business. I got a green border down there, and this goes on to your melee, which the balance, sun, and that works in my brain. The one I'm really struggling with is tree for some reason, because trees to me are tanks. I know Resto Druid, that could be one place your brain goes, but my brain goes for trees, get tanks. Tanks are trees, big honking trees with lots of leaves and branches. Therefore, that should be for tanks, not the case. The really bothersome one is arrow, because arrow is actually for melee as well, but it's a bunch of arrows. this whole side mechanic I'm getting used to. In fact, I was really, really proud. We did a stream this week. I was really, really proud of my setup here. I think this is a beautiful setup in order to be able to apply my various buffs, get all my stuff out, and still manage my cards with my party windows actually ending up right by here so I can click between them. But I got accused of being a clicker. Something I haven't been accused for forever in World of Warcraft because of a little thing called HealBot. If you're not familiar with HealBot, by the way, it was a add-on that allowed you to build custom click combos into it so that you could cast all your spells by holding down Shift, Control, or Alt, clicking with left or right, clicking with the middle of a mouse. And the person you clicked on would have that spell targeted onto them, and you never had to target them yourselves. So it was very, very easy to continue to DPS if you wanted to. World of Warcraft, you didn't really DPS. Disc Priest did, so it was essential in that case. I really enjoyed HealBot. So coming over to Final Fantasy, I was very surprised to see people still hating on clickers. So I've been working on it. I'm getting a little more used to it. Here's that other border, the purpley kind of color, which means it's for those ranged. It's like pot mana. This one makes a lot of sense to me. So I'm getting it down. It feels more complicated than it actually is in process when you're actually going through the dungeon. I also learned about this week while we were streaming Swiftcast and getting out that very, very quick ascend for a res. The res system, a lot of the systems in Final Fantasy, I'm really enjoying just from like a tactical level. I'm a big turn-based player. I love XCOM, Dungeons and Dragons, card games. I love this puzzle they've made in Final Fantasy where it's all about DPS. You want to get that boss down as soon as possible. The tank is tanking well. You don't need as much healing. So the healer can do DPS, and the tanks and the healers all put through an amount of damage. It might not be a great amount of damage, but it's still an amount of damage that matters. So the more damage you can do, and these are pretty tame spells. I'm about to go unlock soon my second version of this. Actually, don't know if I'll ever use the other version. I'm still learning. But yeah, I got some pretty basic spells. Gravity is very, very cool looking. By the way, awesome auto attack animation. I'll never use it. This won't really come up, but the auto attack animation for Astrologian is incredible. You do a paper cut, and it's just such a great Kaiba vibe. I have to love it. I'm absolutely enjoying it. But that puzzle of dealing damage, trying to keep up with the boss, and still put out just enough heals, and maybe using off global cooldown abilities more often than you're using on cooldown abilities, using bigger heals rather than smaller heals, but they cost more mana. Also, you can do more DPS is great. Here's that darn tree I was talking about. For some reason, this tree makes me think of tank. Drives me nuts. But it's not for them. Really, the arrow is the one I'm going to continue to harp on. Arrows are for ranged. This shouldn't be an issue. Spear, fine. Ice, like armor, ice, not frost mage. I got that one. That one's in my head. I just need to use the borders here. This whole mechanic of getting moons and stars. I'm working on it. But that puzzle is really fascinating to me. It makes me really interested to see more high-end content. Oh, we got a visitor. So, to get over my clicking ways, one thing I've done is I have put these on my side mouse buttons. I got here a Logitech G502 Hero that only has a couple of buttons. I'm thinking about going back to my old Razer Naga, which I don't think they make anymore, at least this model, but has a lot more buttons, has a whole keyboard or whole number pad on the side, which would give me a lot more options. But I've moved that onto my side mouse button, so now I can very quickly get the card drawn and get it passed out. I don't know how I'm going to quite redraw yet in that sort of system. I probably need to add another mouse button here because I need to get those various symbols that add up to be these moons, stars, and everything else so I can get the big buff out of my Astrodyne, which is entirely self-servicing, but I'm sure in really, really long fights, particularly when I'm using big heals that cost a lot of mana, I'm gonna need to regenerate my own mana. It might be nice to have my reduced spell cast time and auto attack delay, so I can get more paper cuts in, perhaps. But it's a really complicated class. Certainly coming from Paladin, dungeoning at this level is just a lot of removing detrimental effects, which I learned a lot about again on that stream we did. It reminded me of The Witcher. There's a great bit of knowledge from Vesemir in one scene where he says,
"How many times do I have to tell her? Don't train alone. It only embeds your errors."
And it was a great check-in to see kind of what people do in various situations, how they actually play the class, and make sure I didn't get too deep into this, where I've really embedded those super bad habits for myself. But the big tip that I took away from the huge tip that was super duper helpful for me are the F keys. So F1 through 8, or in this case, just a normal dungeon, your F1 through 4 allows you to target the party members. So here F1 is targeting me. But if I were to target somebody else, 2 being my tank, because I've set that up in my bars, always my tank, and then 3 and 4 being my various DPS, allows you to avoid the clicker accusations, as well as, draw your card, bam, here's that arrow. Here's that darn arrow. See? Melee DPS or tank. That ain't right. Arrows are for range. Ain't right. But allows you to then quickly select the target you want. In this case, it would only be my F3s or F4s. Get that out, get my symbols built up for the Astrodyne, and get rolling again. Also, it's kind of unique. I like being a unique class. I don't see a lot of Astrologians around. For questing, not that interested at the moment, because I'm here in my robes, I'm getting hit in the face. I don't think I'm going to be questing as Astrologian. I got 2 buttons. It's not terribly interesting, and just being in my robes and my glasses, I just don't want to be hit. So currently I am actually questing over on what is my old job, my alt job, my Paladin, who's looking very, very cool with some coil stuff we got during our runs there while we were getting ready for our grinding gear episode. And he's also just got his health does not move when I'm being beat up. Where the Astrologian, I kind of got to heal myself in a lot of these bigger pool fights, but here I've got plenty of options to just take down big circles of dudes, make sure I'm getting out some debuffs, doing decent damage. I don't know what DPS I want to play yet. I really haven't found one that I just absolutely fall in love with. I want to try Ninja. It just looks super cool. I'm pretty sure I saw a ninja jump on top of a boss the other day too, like old Dragon Age, like actually interact with the model of the boss we were fighting. That's awesome. I don't watch Naruto. I don't have any Kaiba and all that connections. I just think it's great to jump on top and interact with the boss. The whole symbols thing, really awesome. Jujutsu Kaisen is kind of that same sort of hand-on style. I don't have anything that really connects me to Paladin here. I think just sword and board looks cool when you're adventuring and everyone's telling you how great you are all the time and what a great classic adventure you are. What a great spin. What a great... Oh, man. So this video was really just to share my love of Astrologian, which may have to wait a while for the grinding gear video, but also to show off my sweet, beautiful action bar here that I've made for myself for all my clicking ways. And if anyone's, playing the class out there and is unaware of that F1 through 8 button business, it was very, very helpful to find that out. That was a huge part of the puzzle that I was missing. If you have other tips or other sort of tricks you do to improve the playability of this class, let me know in the comments below. I know there's some macros I can do. They're very, very different than World of Warcraft macros in terms of just how you type them out, but I've got a guide, and I'm going to be putting Swiftcast and Ascend together into one kind of button so that I don't have to press those both, as that's something I will have to do. Another thing about Ascend, if you're not familiar coming from World of Warcraft, is you can cast Battle Res as much as you want during a fight. It's just the cut of their DPS being on the floor and your contribution as healer and DPS in that way is so high. It's a tactical decision. Again, I'm really in love with those more kind of tactical ideas that this game has presented, as well as the cooldown and off cooldown system. That means you're really kind of thinking about what you're squeezing in between your rotations. So I can't believe this class. You got your dual disc on the side there. As for the actual like story of it, it's okay. I'm excited to see if we kind of get involved and I get more involved and there's a bit more tying directly to Ishgard. Right now, my storyline is very much no one's listening to the teacher and we're trying to teach class. Won't someone please listen? I'm hoping it'll pick up. I'm just hoping for more ridiculous card moments. That if I have one big request, that's all I really want. Is I just want some full ridiculous Kaiba fortune telling, cards fall from pocket kind of moments in here. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody.